Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Courage to Change a Recovery podcast. This is your producer, Christiana Kimmick, coming at you with another episode short for the day. This is our last week of episode shorts, and then stay tuned next week. I know I keep saying it, but I promise you she's coming back. The one, the only, Ashley Loeb Blassingame, in the flesh, in the podcast booth, joining me for our season 2 wrap-up, which will be coming up next Tuesday, so please stay tuned. I promise you will hear her voice. She does still exist, ladies and gentlemen, and she is still your host. But with that, I'd love to introduce this episode short guest. This is Kendra Allen from episode 35. She recorded much earlier in season 2, and she definitely is one of our standout guests. I mean, every single guest is a standout guest if you ask us, but Kendra, aside from being personally connected to our lovely host, Ashley, Kendra is just an unbelievable person. Her story really evolves around her alcoholism, and many of the things that she struggled with alcoholism and a substance use disorder. She goes into great detail in her full story, which I will link in the show notes. But the part of her story that I chose to highlight really kind of comes out of her life's work right now, which if you're not familiar with Kendra Allen, she does run a program called the Breakup Bestie, which is such an incredible idea where she coaches people through breakups. And it sounds so simple, but if you've ever been through a breakup, everyone should be raising their hands pretty much. These suckers are hard. And gosh, I mean, thank goodness I've been married for a while and haven't had to experience that. But I remember just having my heart stomped on. And if I could have had somebody besides a friend, but someone who really understands life coaching, walk me through a breakup, I would have taken full advantage of that whenever I was in my early 20s. So Kendra is amazing. Her program is unbelievable. We'll link everything in the show notes as well, or you can find out with her original episode in the show notes too. Or she is on Instagram at The Breakup Bestie. And Kendra's episode short comes from her explaining about her time in Al-Anon and how that's basically pointed her towards success today. And so she talks about boundaries, and you'll hear Ashley chime in as well. Boundaries and just learning how to exist with herself and not feel like she needs to rescue everybody or solve everybody's problems, which is something that I can definitely say I have struggled with as well. So I listened to the clip and got so much out of this, and again, I could have pulled so many things from Kendra's episode. There's so many great things. She and Ashley have a lot of laughs about some of the crazy things that they've walked through. But this one I thought was a great one just to include in the episode short because, again, I was learning a lot and being reminded of a lot of good lessons. And I hope you will too. So I won't wait any longer to say, here it goes.
So many other things. Like I started going to Al-Anon about 1.5 years ago, and it's been like the biggest lifesaver, but just learning about boundaries and learning, like I went from being someone who put up with anything in a relationship to then all of a sudden picking at everything in a relationship, which I think just alcoholics do in general. We go from one extreme to the other. So like learning how to like coexist in a relationship with another person long term. It's definitely like a thing that I work at a lot, and like so glad to have another set of 12 steps to go through.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah.
I'm going to end up in every single program by the time my life is over.
I feel like at some point, yeah.
What did Al-Anon do for you? Or what has Al-Anon done for you? I don't think a lot of people know.
Yeah, so I initially went to Al-Anon to help in my marriage and also to help with my relationship with my mom. And we, my mom and I have like sat in therapy sessions through this, but we kind of switched roles after I got sober. So I used to be the one that called and dumped everything on her. And as part of my living amends to her. Like I called her every single day, asked her how she was doing, and it kind of switched where I felt like I was almost becoming her mom. Like I was kind of her counselor for everything, her therapist for everything. I helped her work through all of her issues. And it started to really not feel good, and I didn't know quite how to address that and change that. So Al-Anon for me, I think, one, taught me what is my business and what's not my business, which most everything is not my business, I have come to learn. And learning how to, because I thought, because I hadn't expressed my needs for so long, I felt like the second they came out of my mouth, they better be met. Because don't you know, I've never had needs before. So like now's my turn to get what I want. So learning how to express them and then let go of the results after I do that. And then learning about how I can like love people from more of a distance, you know, and how to identify when something makes me feel good and when it makes me feel bad, and learning how to step away from those things. It's really just like a boundary kind of thing. And like one thing that came out of it was like I was always everyone's secret keeper, especially like in the family. Like people would be like, this is going on, don't tell your parents. And then I would like have to sit with like other people's secrets. And so just learning how to be like, actually, you know, if I'm not going to tell anyone, like I don't need to hear that. And just learning how to say those kinds of things in a way that
is loving.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't put people off. Yeah. That's, that's huge. It's a huge thing. I think as we get sober, people, like as we get well, people gravitate and then they want what you have. And then that kind of stuff, you have to learn how to, you have to learn how to kind of navigate all of the stuff that comes out of that. And, you know, the role changes and what happens when you get healthy, because it definitely, people change around you and people change how they react to you.
Yeah. And then like learning how to not take over when someone needs help.
Yes.
Just like saying, hey, you can meet me at a meeting, but like I don't need to go over to your house and like pull you out of your house and do all that kind of stuff. And like really learning the fact of like, because I used to get involved in things and then I would end up looking like the bad guy, and I just had this like victim mentality of like, I'm trying to help, don't they know? And then it was like really taking it back to like we find that we stepped on the toes of our fellows and they retaliated kind of thing. It's like really learning how to do that. And then, I mean, Al-Anon has helped me tremendously with my AA sponsees. Like I used to drop everything to take a call and like, you know, really felt like I had to be this soul, like I had to be everything to them, and just learning like, nope, I help where I can. Like I offer what I can when I can, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Learning how to have good boundaries.
Yes.
And boundaries are hard. Boundaries are really hard, especially with people that you love. And when you think that, you know, one thing I've struggled with, which the principles of Al-Anon have helped, was just kind of what you talked about, which was there'd be a crisis and there'd be 5 people that could help, but I would step in and be the one, like I wouldn't give other people the opportunity to be the helper because I had the solution or I could help or whatever it was. And learning that like I don't have to be, just because I can doesn't mean I have to every time, and how to guard my energy, like that stay away from energy vampires and to guard my energy, because if I don't have it, then I'm not, you know, I revert back to that person who has to use something to feel okay.
Yeah, no, that's a huge thing. And like, you know, filling my cup up first before I can help anyone else out. And yeah, I used to love being around the energy vampires. I used to like almost like it because I think at one point I loved the feeling of people needing me, because that's the only way like I didn't feel like I was a burden. Like I kind of had to learn like I'm okay just as I am, and I don't need to like work really hard to feel accepted, which I felt like that for a long time. So I had to break that belief too, where I realized I don't have to be like, I would always be the friend that like planned everything and like paid for stuff, and like I just had to learn like I don't have to do that. Like I can be a guest at something and just show up and be okay. Like I can help, you know, I try to always be of service, but I don't need to be the person that's coordinating everything.
Right.
And like, and then too, like breaking the habit of like my family always feeling like I was the planner. Like I don't want to do that anymore, because it's like not fun for me. I don't enjoy vacations if I'm always the one that's like trying to rally the troops and figure out the plan and do the itinerary and all that kind of stuff. So So it's been a big learning experience. And when I first got into Al-Anon, I felt like a newcomer again. Like everything just felt so foreign, where I had to call a sponsor for everything, just like in the beginning of sobriety, where like I didn't know how to handle a conversation with my mom or with my husband. And so it's been like a good next layer of sobriety for me, which I think we always need to be continuously building on our sobriety. And that's what, keeps me super engaged in meetings and, allows me to continue to work towards something.
Gosh, Kendra is so insightful, and we are just so grateful that she came on our show. Hopefully that was a really great refresher. If you've already listened to the episode, I highly encourage you to go back and listen to the full episode, because Kendra's full story is inspiring. And also even how she kind of came back around and met her current husband, and what their story is really, really neat. And Kendra's helping a lot of people who are either codependent or have walked through a series of breakups or maybe even find themselves stuck in a pattern. And so Kendra and the Breakup Bestie, such an awesome resource. Highly encourage you to check her out. Again, we'll link everything in the show notes. Stay tuned for another episode short coming out this Thursday. And then again, not kidding you, Ashley Lil Blasting Game will be back next Tuesday. Stay tuned for one of our favorite episodes of the year, which is our season wrap-up episode. Our season 1 wrap-up episode is still top 5 of all episodes, which cracks me up. So season 2 wrap-up will be just as good. Hopefully we can top it. I don't know if anything tops my crazy stories of how we started, but lots of stuff happened in season 2. So again, lots of fun stuff to stay tuned to. And as always, if you need anything, if you have any questions, please email us, podcast@lionrock.life.
This podcast is sponsored by lionrock.life. Lionrock.life is a recovery community offering free online support group meetings, useful recovery information, and entertainment. Visit www.lionrock.life to view the meetings schedule and find additional resources. Find the joy in recovery at lionrock.life.